Hi, Steve, Caleb, and Keith with Brownells here, and today we want to go over some reloading do's and don'ts. Now reloading, like a lot of things in life, looks a lot easier than it really is. So let's go over some stuff that you really want to pay attention to when you're reloading. Number one, get a manual. Get a reloading manual. Do not take loads off the internet. Do not take them from your best buddy. Look in a manual and see what's actually been scientifically proven not to blow up a gun. Here at Brownells, we get blown up barrels in returns, and it's almost always reloads. And it's always a special recipe. So get a good manual. Every company makes them. No excuse not to have one. They're not that expensive.
Yeah, so another thing that's important to understand is that the maximum load that works well in your buddy's gun may not necessarily work well in your firearm. So, of course, by taking that reloading data from him or by pushing the limits, you need to make sure that you're actually working up to that load in that specific firearm you're loading for, not just a firearm of the similar make and model.
Right. That's why all those manuals say start low, work your way up. It keeps you out of trouble a lot of times because those barrels are not all the same spec. The chambers aren't all the same spec. The brass isn't all the same spec. So there's too many variables.
Yeah, because commercial brass versus military brass. Military brass is usually a little heavier. I mean, what'll fit in there, what'll fit in commercial, sometimes won't. I mean, it'll overload military brass.
Yep. Exactly.
And I've actually seen guys that will fill that up to the rim and then just compress the bullet on top of it. There's some loads you can do that with, but other loads don't even try to attempt that, because I've seen actually a 40 cal Glock that a guy was loaded up, filled it up to the top, compressed that bullet down in there, and after about 15-20 rounds, boom, she was gone. It literally blew it up, and you just don't want to play with that. That's something you can't do. It's dangerous to you, it's dangerous to the people around you. Just go by the manuals. Don't take some kind of little special blend or blend your own powders and stuff like that. No, it's too dangerous and too costly.
That's a good don't mix powders.
Yeah, do not mix powders.
No duplex loads, no triplex loads. We're not in the 1930s again.
Right. No.
We've got good powders now that cover a range. None of those guys would have mixed their powder back then if they'd have access to what we have.
Right. Now, I've seen an AR-15 that the guy mixed powders on and made his own special little blend of 5.56, and it literally blew the upper. It disintegrated. The only thing that was left were the front and rear lugs and the threaded portion of the upper that was into the barrel nut. Everything else was gone. The bolt split out like a banana, or the bolt carrier was split out all different ways. The face of the bolt was literally gone. So that's winter didn't kill him. I mean, you just can't do that stuff. It's too dangerous, and guns are too expensive.
Speaking of powder, don't reuse your containers. Don't cross it out and mark it for something else and think that you're going to always know which is which. Doesn't work that way. Time goes by, and pretty soon you're not sure what's in there. When you pour it out and look at it, it looks just like the other powder. Now you're not sure what you got. Same thing with your powder measure. If you got a powder measure standing up on your press, like you got a progressive press or something, dump it out as soon as you're done with the loading session back into the container, because a couple weeks go by, you forget what's in there. Even if you know what you were loading that day, you can't actually be sure if it was accurate number 5 or accurate number 7. I really don't know. I do both loads. So make sure everything's properly labeled.
Yeah, and one thing that I learned the hard way was decap your cases before measuring for overall length.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had a bunch of cases I was reloading, couldn't figure out why I was getting inconsistencies on the measurement, flipped them over and realized I forgot to decap them. Because when that firing pin hits the primer, it switches it out a little bit, and that was giving me inconsistencies in my overall length measurement.
Nice.
Yep.
Now, another thing when it comes to powder is good storage of it. Keep it at a constant, cool temperature, not up and down, up and down. Stick it in the garage where it's going to get hot, get cold. That will just literally eat that powder up. Because I've seen some that have been left in a garage and opened it up, and you'll start seeing kind of a
The vapor.
brownish vapor
The
coming out, and
Yeah.
that's bad stuff there.
It's like a genie's going to come
Yep,
out of there. And
sure is, and it's a bad genie, and it's not a good 3 wishes that's going to happen with that. Just dispose of that stuff because it's no good. Just keep it in a good, cool, dark environment, and you'll be good there.
Now, a couple of essentials for your loading bench. Safety glasses. You're dealing with primers. You're dealing with little pieces. Sometimes you're putting them under pressure. Things squirt out. Just wear your glasses. Get a good pair. Don't get the old murky pair that's got oil on them and stuff. The other thing you really need is some kind of a way to fix your mistakes. A bullet puller of some kind. I've got a cam bullet puller like this, and I've got the hammer type, the kinetic bullet puller. Because sooner or later you're going to load some stuff up that you really shouldn't put through a gun, and you're only going to realize it after you loaded 50 or so. You're going to have to pull all those bullets, or throw them in the trash. So I recommend having a bullet puller on hand. I don't have one here, but I've got one at home, a stuck case puller, where you actually drill the back of the case, thread it, and turn it out with a screw. It'll save your life. Otherwise, you got to send the die back into the company, and they'll do that for you. And they don't cost much, so you want one of those too. A big do is get a notebook and write stuff down, or put it on your phone. I've got stuff back here going back to, I think some of it goes back to like 86 when I was loading. So there we are. 3845 auto. Who shot that lately? But I know what to load it with, and I know how to what I was getting. This stuff will save your life sometimes because your memory's not going to do it. The labels come off your ammo boxes, they get smeared. The notebook will save your life sometimes. Let you remember that load that worked really well that day. So keep good records.
I'll take a note card and put the load, the powder that I used, the bullet weight, and slip that in the box whenever I've done reloading, and then as well write that in a notebook, because I've got every 9mm 308, 7.62, everything that I've done. Every time I load, I will write that info down, and then that way if I have to go back and see if something's happened, if it's not shooting right, what I did.
Right.
And keeping that note card in with that ammo, that's a lifesaver right there.
Now that's our style of doing it. This guy
Yeah.
probably has an app on his phone.
App on his
I
phone.
was just about to say that. You know, put it in the app on your phone, or at least just
Yeah.
take a picture of that note card on your phone.
I'm going to
Note
give it a
card's
try
your
one of
phone.
these days.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
A do, cleanliness is next to godliness. Make for sure that your workbench is clean, your hands are clean, everything is clear. You don't have 3 or 4 different powders up here. You just one specific powder that you're working with at the time. Your primers are here. I mean, just everything in a flow, and it's all together right there.
And keep your distractions to a minimum.
Right. No kids running around, because if you have to, okay, you're sitting here loading a shell and then you come back. Well, I'm running around. What all did I do? Well, have I dropped powder in here? Am I
Right.
dropping a double charge in here? So just make sure that you have a spot where you can stop at and you know where to continue.
These are all pretty good ideas, but we're just scratching the surface. If you've got a tip or a comment or a question about reloading, do's and don'ts, leave us a comment. We'd like to hear it. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.